Hello and welcome to this GCSE Foundation Level Lesson 9.4 on Factorising. We start with a do now task. Expand the brackets and collect the like terms, just like the silver and gold learning from our last lesson together. Make sure that you set out your work carefully and fully to make sure you're getting the right answers. Make sure you pause the video so you've got time to work through these. I will give you the answers shortly. Okay, the answers are for B1, 12t, for B2, 12c plus 25d, B3, 8x plus 9, B4, 7b plus c, or 7b plus 1c, B5, 9y plus 30. Now for the gold ones, C1, 11m squared minus 47n, C2, 14b squared minus 49c, C3, 5m squared minus 20, C4, 7a minus 28, and C5, 9p minus 39q. Okay, this lesson's all about factorisation, and we'll be showing you how to factorise an expression. We're going to have our bronze targets of learning about factorising expressions such as 15t plus 30, factorising expressions with a letter as a factor such as f squared plus 4f is our silver learning, and our gold learning is to factorise expressions such as 3d squared or plus 15d, or ones even more complicated. Okay, so factorising is the exact opposite of expanding brackets. It puts the brackets back into an expression. So if you can remember from before, 3 times 2t plus 3m, we expand the brackets, we multiply out the brackets to get 6t plus 9m. Factorising, as I've just said, is the reverse method. So we're going from the expression at the end, going backwards. Now to do this properly, we have to find the highest common factor of all the terms in order to do this. So the highest common factor of 6t and 9m is 3, so that goes outside the brackets, and what's left goes inside it to make the 6t plus 9m. So let's look at the second example, 20y plus 8p. You might be thinking 2 goes into both of them, and you'd be right, but the highest common factor, remember, we need is actually 4. Okay, so we say 4 goes outside the brackets, and we need to know what we multiply the 4 by to give us 20y plus 8p. That will be 5y plus 2p. More of that later. Okay, so let's check we can do the highest common factors. What's the highest common factor? Indeed, only common factor of 10 and 15. Give you 5 seconds. Answer's 5. Again, 5 seconds on the next ones. What's the highest common factor of 9 and 12? It's the only common factor, which is 3, apart from the number 1 itself, of course. What's the highest common factor of 15 and 20? It's going to be 5 this time, because 5 is the only common factor again. Think carefully. What's the highest common factor of 16 and 24? You might be thinking 4, but in fact it's 8. We want the highest common factor. Okay, be careful, it's going to become very important as we go through. What's the highest common factor of 28 and 70? You might be thinking 7, but in fact it's 14, because 28 is 2 times 14 and 70 is 5 times 14. What's the highest common factor of x squared and x? Well, x is the only thing in both of them, so x is the highest common factor. Now we use the highest common factor idea when we are factorising. So here we've got factorise 5x plus 15. We mean what's the highest thing that goes into 5x and 15? The answer is 5, so 5 goes outside the brackets, and we then work out what we multiply the 5 by to give us 5x plus and 15. These two terms go inside the brackets, they are x and 3. So we have 5x plus 15 is 5 brackets x plus 3. Example 2, ask yourself what's the highest common factor of 8a and 12. This means what's the biggest term that goes into both 8a and 12. The answer is 4, not 2, 4, so 4 goes outside the brackets. So we then work out what we multiply the 4 by to give us 8a and 12. These terms go inside the bracket. They are 2a and 3. So 8a plus 12 is 4 brackets 2a plus 3, and don't forget to put the closed bracket at the end. Okay, before we go any further, we just want you to match these up just to check that you're understanding what gives us what. All of them look as though they've got 15x, but one of them gives you 15x squared. So pause the video, give yourself a few seconds to work through them, and then we'll go through the answers on the next slide. Okay, so here are your match-up answers. The first one is 15x plus 10, second one 15x plus 6, third one 15x plus 15, the fourth one is 15x plus 75, and finally 15x squared plus x. Notice we've got x times x there, giving us x squared. Okay, now it's time for you to have a go. Here are your questions to write down. Make sure you do write them down before you factorise them, and also have a go at the starred questions at the end. Pause the video, and then you'll be able to see on the next slide how you got on. So here are your correct answers. Hope you got them all correct. And here are your starred questions. Mark them carefully, pause the video, mark them carefully to check that you're getting things correct, hopefully. Okay, now if we're going to factorise, these are our silver ones, as you can see. We're factorising x squared plus 5x. What goes into both x squared and 5x? In other words, what's the highest common factor of them? Should be 5x. The answer is x. Again, this goes outside the brackets. We then ask ourselves, what do we multiply x by to get x squared and 5x? And those answers are x and 5. They go inside the brackets. So x squared plus 5x is x brackets x plus 5 close brackets. And again, don't forget to close a bracket. Example 2, factorising z squared minus 3z. We ask ourselves, what's the highest common factor of z squared and minus 3z? The answer is z. It's the only thing that goes into both of them. This goes outside the brackets. So we ask ourselves to get what goes inside, what do we multiply the z by to get z squared and minus 3z? Our answers are z and minus 3. They go inside the bracket. So z squared minus 3z is z brackets z minus 3 close brackets. Further example, what goes into 4p and p squared? The answer is just p. So that goes outside the brackets, and we ask ourselves what we multiply the p by to get 4p and p squared. That's going to be 4 and p in that order. They go inside the bracket. So 4p plus p squared is p brackets 4 plus p. And one final one. If we're factorising x squared plus 7xy, what's the highest common factor of x squared and 7xy? The answer is x. So that goes outside the brackets. We then have to ask ourselves, what do we multiply x by to give us x squared and 7xy? The answers are x and 7y. These go inside the brackets. So x squared plus 7xy equals x brackets x plus 7y. Okay, here's lots of questions for you to practice. Make sure you write down the expressions and then the factorised form. You should pause the video while you do that. Okay, here are your answers. Notice in number 3i, it actually, and when I've written it down on there, it says x cubed plus 2x, all with a 2 there rather than 2x squared. That's just in case any of you realising your little 2 slipping down a bit like mine did. So be careful. It's being factorised correctly, but do be careful that you write things correctly. Okay, we're now moving on to factorising 5x squared plus 10x. What's our highest common factor of 5x squared and 10x? What goes into both of them? Well, what goes into 5 and 10 is 5. what goes into x squared and x is x, so our highest common factor of both terms is 5x, and this goes outside the bracket. We then ask ourselves what we multiply the 5x by to give us 5x squared and 10x. The answers are x and 2, and they go inside the brackets. So 5x squared plus 10x is 5x brackets x plus 2 close brackets. You might want to write these teaching examples down. So, factorise 9x squared plus 6x. We ask ourselves what's the highest common factor of 9x squared and 6x. Here the answer is 3x, and that goes outside the brackets. We ask ourselves what we multiply the 3x by to give us 9x squared and 6x. In each case it's 3x and then 2. They go inside the brackets. So 9x squared plus 6x is 3x times 3x plus 2 close brackets. Now, if we're factorising 12x plus 18x cubed, we ask ourselves what's the highest common factor of 12x and 18x cubed. Highest common factor of 12 and 18 is clearly 6. Highest common factor of x and x cubed is x, so the highest common factor of the two of them is 6x, and that goes outside the brackets. We then ask ourselves what we multiply the 6x by to give us 12x plus 18x cubed. That will be 2 and 3x squared, and these go inside the bracket. So 12x plus 18x cubed is 6x brackets 2 plus 3x squared. One more, 4x squared plus 2x cubed to be factorised. What's the highest common factor of 4x squared and 2x cubed? Quite tricky. The answer is 2x squared. This goes outside the brackets. We then ask ourselves what we multiply the 2x squared by to get 4x squared and 2x cubed. The answers are 2 and x, and they go inside the bracket. So 4x squared plus 2x cubed equals 2x squared, brackets 2 plus x. You can always multiply out the brackets again to check that you get back to the answer, to the expression you started with. Okay, so here we've got exercise 4, question 4, sorry. You've got lots of questions, including the starred questions. Pause the video and have a go at these. Okay, here's your answers to those. Mark them carefully, make sure you've written the expressions down at the start and then factorise them, and here's the answers to the starred ones again. Pause this slide so that you can see your answers. Okay, question 2. Here you've got 3 friends having a meal. Have a look through, see what you think to their answer. Pause the video and then have a look at my answer afterwards. There's my answer to the question, so see if your answer is similar to mine. We've then got question 4. All of these do give a correct answer, but you've got to decide which one's the best one. So pause the video again and then answer your question. I would write down what Aidan said and Bernice and Craig and the original expression to help you as you're working. The answer to question 4, and I've called it 3 for some reason, is that Bernice is the correct answer because she has taken the highest common factor outside the bracket. Aidan have not taken out the highest common factor. Okay, questions 6 and 7 require a bit more thought. I'll just remind you that the perimeter of the shape is where you add up all the sides. Have a go at those two, pause the video and have a go. Okay, so question 6, the perimeter means add up all the lengths. It's the total distance around the shape. So you've got the 5 sides there, and notice I've put a plus in the middle to show that I'm going to add those 5 sides. Now that we know how to collect like terms, we can simplify that to give us 16x plus 24. If we multiply out the brackets, that also gives us 16x plus 24, so the two expressions are the same. If you've managed to try number 7, I found that quite challenging, but there's my solution. Pause it and have a little look through it. Okay, you've now completed your factorising lesson, but please don't forget to do your purposeful practice work, and in particular all your Hegarty maths work that will be set for you on the topic of factorising. Well done, and here's to the next lesson too.